Good morning. First of all, before I read this, which is called The Exit, first of all, prayer works. As for me and my house or whatever domicile or box you in, because everybody's afraid of the box, because the mainstays in this life, and my little brother told me this before he passed away, is food, shelter, and clothing. Those are the main staples we need: food, shelter, and clothing. Now, the exit is about the first week after they freed the slaves. What was that week like after they were free and they didn't have to get up and go pick the cotton or tend to the crops? What was that first week after slavery, and how does that mirror what's going on today? I'm gonna explain that in a minute, but I want to make this very, very important thing I've been learning. Prayer, some people call it magic, but prayer works, absolutely works. And I learned it, but it has to be intentional, and you have to trust it, and you have to understand that what you're praying for, you already know. All you're doing is asking, and basically receive. These are fundamental things that because you're not faithful, you won't believe it, so it may not happen. But I've been learning, and I guess you learn every day, to pray for it and let it be. Leave it alone. Stop putting stuff in the air fryer, in the oven, and keep checking on it every 5 minutes. If you trust for it to work, it's gonna get done. The recipe works. If the roast says, okay, put it in there for 3 hours, leave it alone. What was that commercial they used to have on the infomercial? Set it and forget it. Yeah, set your prayer up, be intentional, trust that it's going to be what it is, and let it be. Let God do his work. And I've learned that in 2 instances that I forgot. Sometimes this world that we live in, we'll get away from that. Like I'm getting away from this, but this is more important because God is moving right now. And we get away from that. And in 2 instances, I say, you know what? Because years ago, when I had a tree service, I wrote down on my list all the equipment I wanted. And they also write it down and be plain about it. I wrote it down, and I forgot, and I left it alone. I pray every morning. And I ask him for it, and without me noticing, without me doing I just did what I'm supposed to do. First of all, pray for it, be faithful, trust it, and just go about doing my work or doing what I need to do as far as on my part in it. Because it says without works, faith is dead. So I had to work. But in the midst of me working, I'm not worrying about what I prayed for. I leave it with God and I go work. And then you look up and I say, I got it all. Didn't notice it though. But I had everything I asked for. But I was busy working and praying to God that I didn't have to worry about the logistics of it. You just look up and you'll have what you asked for. Just work. And I got away from that because life and the devil will take you away from that power that you have with your one-on-one fellowship with God. So it took me away from that for years. And you're never too late to learn, and you're never too late to get back. God would always accept you back. you might drift off. You might, I forgot. You got to go back. So I went back. In the last 2 weeks, I said, okay, things were tight because things going on in this world, and we can get distracted because these are all distractions. And I said, you know what? Let me go pray. Let me talk to God intimately about what I'm going through and about my needs. And it was tight. And I said, you don't know when you exhaust all your avenues and all your resources. You got resources. You don't know. Like long ago when I didn't have anything, I had to go to God because God would take you down to the bottom where you would need. He would not let anybody help you but Him, and you have no choice but to turn to God and give Him your praise and worship and trust Him. And if I tell you my testimony, yeah, He took me in a mire of clay, took me down and dirtied me up just to see how clean He can get me. He had to dirty me up just to see how clean He can get me. And I'm pristine right now. And through the forge, the refining of the gold, the refining of it, the fire. Oh, through the fire comes something real beautiful. But I digress. Let's get back to these couple of weeks, and it was tight. And I said, you know what? Let me go back to what I know, and I know my God. And I petitioned, and I left it alone. So I'm not gonna worry about it. And lo and behold, and He required me to do some things that I didn't know I can do. But when you put into it, all of a sudden you would know exactly what to do. Oh, you think you don't know this language? You think you can communicate on a barrier that's above language? Yeah, they scattered us. There's no such thing as a language barrier when it comes to the Lord. Because when you communicate on another level, language doesn't exist. I'm gonna leave it right. I'm gonna leave it right there. But this message was supposed to be about this right here. It's called The Same Field. It's about the first week after slavery, how we going through that today, how we go, because the slaves, they still had to have food, shelter, and clothing. So even though they're free, they still have to work. They still have to work the land, and the money they get, wages, they still had to go to the slave owner's store and buy their food. They still had to pay for their shelter, and they still had to pay for their clothing. So there was only renting money, just like we do today. You'll get your paycheck, and you'll look at it for like 4 hours until it's right back to whoever gave it to you, to those who gave it to you. So they'll let you look at it, and you give it right back because you need food, shelter, and clothing. Next.